back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. Chris Holman here, coming to you from remote, but we're going to stay in the mid-Michigan area. Actually, I'm not sure about that because Tony Dalimonte is joining us, an attorney with Foster Swift, and you guys are in Southfield, and you're all over the map, and I think probably you're coming to me from Southfield, are you not?
Yep, coming to you from Southfield and, glad to be here.
All right. Well, listen, it's good to have you on. You guys always bring a plethora of important information to help our small businesses out there kind of thrive. So tell us a little bit about the new FTC rule banning non-competes.
Yeah, so big news. FTC came down on April 23rd and voted 3-2 along party lines to ban non-competes across the board. And so what the rule is that all non-competes going forward are illegal and unenforceable. The FTC says that non-competes violate Section 5 of the FTC Act. Now, it's also retroactive. All non-competes previously signed are also unenforceable unless you fall into this small category of senior executives. And the FTC says that if you were a senior executive and you previously signed a non-compete, then that non-compete can still stay in place.
Tony, as a small business guy, I got to say, this whole thing looks a little bizarre to me. I mean, I'm on the side where, yeah, I liked it enforceable, et cetera, but to take it off and then retroact it, what led to this FTC vote and approved by 3-2?
Yeah, there's been a sort of trend on the state and federal level to do away with non-competes for some time now. And I think at the beginning of President Biden's, taking of office, this is one of the things that he wanted to accomplish. And so, do I think that non-competes that the goal of limiting non-competes can be accomplished by something other than a complete and total ban? Yes. But the good news is I think this is going to be successfully challenged. There's a couple lawsuits going right now. So we'll have to wait and see, but I think it's going to be struck down.
What struck me, and please share this, what defines a senior executive? Because this is pretty precise stuff.
Yeah. So a senior executive is someone who makes over 151 164, so over 151,000 and is in a policy making position. Your guess is as good as mine at what a policy making position is. But the FTC came out and said that less than 1% of workers fall into this, sort of senior executive category. And they argue that, the coercive effects of non-competes don't really apply to senior executives because you're more likely to have an attorney and negotiate those terms.
It's interesting, Anthony. 1% sounds like a small number, but it really is not a small number. But to arrive at $151,164 almost sounds like they had someone in mind or something,
It's a good point. I don't know how they got to that number. We're still waiting through the 500 pages of commentary that they put on this rule. So maybe there's a reasoned approach to that number, but I don't know what it is right now.
I think you're right, though. I think a lot of this get hashed out in court.
Yeah.
So if an employee signed a non-compete and they aren't a senior executive, so what happens then?
So it's unenforceable, and the employer has to give notice to its employees that it's not going to try to enforce these non-competes against them anymore. And the FTC gives you sort of model language, and they actually write it in a way that you can mass send it out. That's what they recommend, that you mass send out a letter to all your employees saying that if you signed a non-compete, it's no longer enforceable, and you can go compete against us. You can go start your own business in competition against us. So it's, there's an affirmative duty on the employer to go out and say, hey, we're not going to enforce this against you anymore.
It's interesting. I just think about a salesperson who's making 140,000, and now they can take their entire client list with them to start their own business or go with a competitor.
Yep.
That's craziness. Are there any exceptions to this thing?
A few industries are exempt because the FTC doesn't have jurisdiction over them, and the FTC said that non-compete signed in connection with a bona fide sale of a business is not banned or does not violate federal law. So you sell your business, I don't want you to go turn around and open up another shop across the street. Those non-competes will be enforced.
Okay, I got that. Now, is this limited to only non-compete clauses?
Yes and no. The FTC says it is, but they left the door open to interpreting other sort of restrictive covenants in a way that, you know, if they restrict someone from going and working somewhere else, the FTC could determine that those clauses are a sort of a functional non-compete agreement. So it depends.
I'm hearing it depends more and more these days, and I think we're waiting on court challenges, as you said, anyway. So, well, listen, thanks for bringing a little clarity to this thing, Anthony Dalimonte, attorney with Foster Swift, with offices all over the state of Michigan. It's always good to have you on, bud. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you're watching the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network. I'm Chris Holman.